Hello neighbor, this is Curt with eTrailer, and today we're going to take a look at the Thule OutPace bike rack and see how it interacts with our 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xe. Now, if after watching this video you decide this is the bike rack for you, you go ahead and get it and use it a few times, why don't you share what you think about it in the comments below? We would love to share your experience with our other neighbors so they can make the best decision for themselves. So the Thule OutPace is a bike rack that they created that is intended more for the more casual cyclist. Maybe you're somebody that goes out once a week or just a couple of times a month. This is a pretty compact and lightweight bike rack, so it's easy to remove and reinstall, and therefore it doesn't have to be something that lives in your hitch like somebody who's a real cycling enthusiast might want. The operation is really simple, and it's actually a really clever bike rack. So we're going to get into some of the features in a moment, but first I want to just kind of check out how it fits our Grand Cherokee 4xe. So the first thing I always look at is what kind of space do I have between the bike and the vehicle itself. And in this case, we've got a good amount of space back here. This is about as big of a bicycle as we really want to put on this rack. So it's got 15.5-inch handlebars, it's got some bigger pedals, but as you can see, we're in no danger of this making contact with the back of the vehicle. Even if we're on a rougher road that we're traveling down, there's really nothing that tells me that there's going to be any contact made between the two. And like any platform bike rack, there's going to be some visible obstructions coming off of the back, only because really the way it's set up, it's going to be blocking a few things. Because this sits so high up, and the hitch on the Grand Cherokee 4xe, which comes out of the bumper, also sits high up, a majority of the bike frame is going to end up in your rear view mirror. It's really going to kind of block a lot of looking out that back window. We're also going to have the typical blockage that you get from these with our taillights, license plate, and rear view camera. So to me, it's always really important to know exactly what kind of footprint this is leaving behind your vehicle. And in the case of the OutPace, we've got about 27.25 inches from the bumper to the furthest point of the rack. So you got a little bit over 2 feet back here that you're going to have to account for when you're backing into a tighter space or trying to parallel park. Another thing we always want to take a look at is our ground clearance. Now, in the case of this is obviously really high up. It's about level with the top of our bumper, but the ground clearance on this comes out to 32.5 inches, and at the shank, it's going to come out to 20.5 inches. More than enough room under here as far as I'm concerned to not really worry too much about any steep inclines or driveways I might come across. Now, this bike rack has a capacity of 55 pounds, which means that a lot of those e-bikes that are out there on the market are going to be able to be used with this. However, because of how high off the ground it is, we really want you to make sure that you're going to be comfortable lifting whatever weight your bike is up about 30 inches in order to get it mounted onto the carrier itself. So one of the most common questions that we come across whenever we're talking about platform bike racks is, will you have access to your liftgate? And in the case of the Thule OutPace, you definitely will. Now, the mechanism that operates this is a bit unique compared to some of the other bike racks. It doesn't have a button or trigger mechanism or lever in order to do it. What we have is this heavy-duty rubber pull cord. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to brace the bike. I'm going to go ahead and pull on this toward me. You're going to see that red pop out of the end, and that means it's disengaged and I can lower it away from my liftgate just like so. Once I do that, I have clearance for my liftgate, and again, this is a pretty large bike that we have on here. But now I've got enough space to get into my cargo area. I can get any equipment that I need, refill on water, or maybe I'm on my way back from the trail and I decide to hit the grocery store on the way home. Now I don't have to remove the bike in order to get access to the back cargo area. And in order to get it back into position, all I need to do is brace the bike, grab the handle and lift. You'll hear that click. The cord will pull tight and that red will disappear, and now we're back up locked into its riding position. So as far as how the OutPace operates, it is a frame-mounted bike carrier. So we have our post right here, and we have it attached to our main tube right here. However, depending on the size and shape of your bike, it can go on either of the tubes on the frame. You could also mount it up here to the seat post if you wanted to. This one's a little bit too tall for that, so we've got it here around our main tube. We've also got it running through our water bottle holder, so that would work for you as well if you have one. We just obviously can't use it if there's a water bottle in there. Now, the straps that hold it on to the post and the straps that hold each wheel down are ratcheting straps. So to loosen it, you would simply depress this button. It'll loosen our strap. We could pull that out. When it comes to loading it up and tightening it, you could just ratchet it down tight and leave it as is. And that same mechanism works on both of our wheel mounts as well. But as far as removing the bike, that's going to be very simple. You always want to start with the wheel straps first when removing your bike. It's going to be the opposite when you put it on, but because we want this post to maintain the bike upright while we get everything unstrapped. So I'm just going to depress that gray button again, feed this through, and clear it through the other side. Now I'm going to do the same here with my back wheel. And finally, I can do the post. And then once I've got that fed through, I'm able to remove my bike, and now I can either store it or hit the trail. So what do we do when we want to keep the rack in our hitch on the back of the vehicle, but we're not riding around with a bike on it at the current time? Well, it does have a stowaway feature, and the first thing we're going to need to do after we remove our bike is we're going to secure our straps back. Going to drop our post, and these are going to just flip in and lock down just like this. And now we're going to use that same pull cord to tilt it up and against the vehicle. Now, as you can see, this is a really, really compact design. We're going to have our license plate and rear view camera completely blocked, but we're going to regain visibility out of our rear window, and other drivers are going to be able to clearly see our taillights. So with it folded up like that, now we've reduced that footprint in the back from the bumper to about 10¼ inches. So since you're blocked back here with your rear view camera, you still want to remember you got almost a foot back here that you want to be accountable for. Now, as far as storing, loading, and unloading this bike rack, one of the things that makes it really aimed at the casual cyclist is that this isn't a rack that's like necessarily intended to live inside the hitch, like some of the bigger racks are for the cyclists out there that are going several times a week, and it's just not worth it to them to remove and reinstall it all the time. The first thing we're going to do is just go ahead and unlock our lever here. Now this lever, as you tighten it, expands this block inside your hitch so that it's got a really snug fit, and it makes it anti-rattle. As you can see, it's not moving around in the hitch at all. It's actually shaking the whole vehicle. So what we'll need to do first is loosen this up. And you can see right there it's becoming loose and untightening. It's moving around quite a bit. And once we have it all the way loosened up, we can go ahead and put it back into that position. We'll lock that lever down. So being locking, that also means because it's so snug in there, no one's going to be able to pull it out. It's also what locks down this integrated pin here that comes off of the side. So it's a great anti-theft deterrent while also making it anti-rattle. So now that we've got it out and in this position, this is going to fold up really, really small. We're going to go ahead and use that same pull cord in the back and collapse it down. And now it's freestanding. This is compact enough that, you know, it's going to store very neatly in a garage, maybe even on a shelf. You could actually fit it into the back of your Grand Cherokee 4xe to have it with you in case you wanted to get it out and deploy it. And if you live in an area where maybe you don't have a garage or somewhere, you know, safe like that to keep it, this is small enough that you could just stand it up in the corner of a closet or something like that to bring out whenever you need it. So this is made of a powder-coated aluminum. It makes it extremely lightweight. This only comes in at 28.5 pounds. So that makes it light and compact enough that you can get it up and down stairs even if you have to. So again, an excellent choice for the casual cyclist who doesn't want their bike rack to live in their hitch full time. So this was a look at the Thule OutPace on our 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xe. I'm Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.